Everybody, welcome to Texas News Studio. I have a breaking news update that happened a little while ago. There has been a 7.6 earthquake that has struck down in the Caribbean about an hour or so ago. It's somewhat remote, about 200 miles off to the south of the islands down there. But again, so we're waiting reports. We also have some tsunami warnings in effect. There are no tsunami warnings for the Gulf of Mexico, though, so you don't need to be worrying about that here in the States. But down there in the Caribbean, there are some areas that we need to be watching, and I want to get you caught up on the news right now. We're looking at some of the late developments. I've had no damage reports coming in yet. A lot of this is because it's out in the middle of nowhere, in the ocean at least. But again, the tsunamis, if there is any tsunami, will be impacting the areas over the next hour to hour and a half. We'll keep a close eye on that. We have advisories that have been issued, tsunami advisories for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Again, it was originally registered potentially at an 8.0, but it's been downgraded since to a 7.6. There's also been several, obviously, aftershocks since then. Looking at some of their other reports again, major earthquake shakes the Caribbean with islands watching for tsunami potential. No damage has been reported in the immediate aftermath of the quake. Fault line that runs near the Cayman Islands is known and marks the boundary between North America and the Caribbean tectonic plates. So that's what's developing right now. Now, I've got our earthquake tracker on. Most of you that have been watching us on YouTube know that we just put that tracker up today, which is on a separate feed. So this is tracking around all across the world right now. But again, that earthquake did happen a little while ago. So we're now looking for some more information coming in. While we're at it, good to see everybody coming in tonight. I see Jerry in here. Jan is in here over on YouTube. Thanks many of you all coming in here today. And plus over on Twitch as well. Glad you're with us tonight. And then over on Rumble as well. Got a lot of you coming in. So we're just going to give you a quick update. No reports of damage, no ships yet on that. The information I have, again, a tsunami advisory was it says briefly in effect for Puerto Rico and nearby islands. No damage has been reported in the immediate aftermath of the major quake, which was centered, again, more than 100 miles southwest of Georgetown in the Cayman Islands, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. This is coming from Fox Weather, I can see here. But they're talking, there's been aftershocks, and again, they can last for months or even years after the main event. Says the USGS says these mini earthquakes are caused by the readjustments of the fault and are obviously usually not as strong as the original quake. So I've got one image in here that we may be able to pull up. Give me 1 second so you can see a little bit better. Hang on 1 second. I think we can pull this up. Let me put it in here. So this is what's going on the quake itself. And now I'm going to change out something real quick here, if I can, so we can actually see this image. I believe we can. Should pop up here in a second. Okay, so let me show you this, guys, real quick. And that's not what we want, although that's the news graphic. But let me show you, and that's where it was. And then here's the mapping that we got for you right now. As you can see, that tsunami advisory well off to the east of the alert area. So long ways away, which is very typical for these type of things. We're, again, watching this. I've had no reports of damage so far with this. Again, originally registered as an 8.0, has since been downgraded to a 7.6. We're watching this. It's actually been the largest earthquake since 2022 or 23. Let me look at another report coming in, this time from AccuWeather. AP also has got a couple feeds coming in now. Most of the times we're looking at, and I'm looking at the information of the tsunami advisory in here, guys. And from what I'm seeing, most of these are going to be around a foot waves, so not overly high. Wave heights expected to be actually below 1 foot. These are going to be on Eastern time. We're looking anywhere from about 9:45 Eastern to about 10:30 Eastern over there. So those are the reports that I've got in so far. Again, no damage coming up. Looking at some of the other ones again. 7.6 earthquake rocks the Caribbean near the Cayman Islands. Again, tsunami warnings issued. This is coming from AccuWeather. Again, the tremor occurred at 6:23 Eastern time, roughly halfway between the Cayman Islands and Honduras. Says the earthquake's epicenter was located about 125 miles south-southwest of Georgetown in the Cayman Islands at a depth of approximately 6 miles. Says the seismic event has placed Haiti, Belize, and the Bahamas under a potential tsunami threat, according to NOAA, while Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands have issued a tsunami advisory. Had no reports of any damage yet. Not a whole lot coming in. Again, this is out in the middle of the ocean and not over a land area. So it had no reports of any damage coming in yet, no reports of any injuries, and the way things are shaping up, hopefully will not have much out of here. Had it been over land, it would have been a completely different setup, but I'm not seeing that at the moment. Looking at the AP feeds right now, it's pretty much saying the same thing. They're saying a depth of 10 kilometers. No threat to the Gulf Coast. Just a little brief update that I see on the AP feeds coming in tonight. So let me look at some of the other feeds coming out here. Let's look at the tsunami threat from the Department of Commerce, the NOAA here, tsunami.gov. And here's some advisories coming up. Let me see if we got anything new. I'll show you the advisories for Puerto Rico in here. View that bulletin. I don't know where there it is. Can't see it. That's strange. Breakpoint marker. Hang on, guys. The tsunami message in here. About the earliest time they're saying is at 9:46 p.m. on Saturday. Says the tsunami forecast does not show a threat for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. However, we are still waiting for sea level data to confirm the forecast. So we'll see. Let me show you this. Let me just put this up on the screen now. Here we go. Again, the location was north of the Honduras. Everything that I'm seeing right now, guys, so far the wave are going to be 1 foot or below. Let me look at other resources in here. Let me look back over here real quick, guys. Again, tsunami advisory update for Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. Forecast now shows wave heights again below 1 foot for most locations. Advisory remains in effect. Stay away from beaches, harbors until all clear. That's coming from Global Quake right here. Cuba waves about 1 to 3 meters above the tide level possible. Honduras and Cayman waves 0.3 to 1 meter above tide level possible. Other areas, no major tsunami threat, but small sea level changes are possible. So that's what we're seeing at the moment in here. Says also the magnitude 7.6 here. Southwest of the Cayman Islands on February 8 resulted from a strike slip faulting in the shallow crust near the boundary between the North American and Caribbean plates. It says at this location, the North American plate moves west-southwest relative to the Caribbean plate at approximately 20 millimeters per year. It says locally, this motion is primarily accommodating along the Swan Islands transform fault, a left lateral structure. The location, depth, and focal mechanism solution of the February 8th earthquake are consistent with a rupture along the plate boundary structure or a nearby related fault. Even have it looks like here's a camera here down on the third floor of the CDMX Mexico captured the movement of hanging objects from the magnitude 7.6. I don't want to show that for copyright issues, but it's just a little bit of movement in here. Bottom line, wave heights below 1 foot for most locations in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. And that's about it at the moment on that. Good to see Don over here on YouTube. Glad you're with us tonight. I don't have any live cams at the moment to show you. Again, there's no threat to the Gulf Coast from this. So we're looking for any other damage reports coming in. For our YouTube audience, for anybody else, guys, I just, interestingly enough, set up our earthquake tracker up today. This morning, I've had it up all day long. The weather feed got knocked off because my computer went down, but the earthquake tracker is up. I'll leave it up. It's running on a separate computer, and it's showing the same thing that this is, except it just runs all the time, okay? So this is the same thing that you'd be seeing. So check it out over on YouTube, guys, that you're just joining the broadcast. That'll be up all the time. The same with our Twitch and YouTube or Rumble audience. You can check it out over there. We even have it over on Twitch on the TNS Global Hazard Tracker if you want to check it out. Other than that, don't have a lot of other reports to tell you about at the moment. I am looking at pretty much the same thing, less than 1 foot. Now all the tsunami alerts have been canceled except for Cuba, Honduras, the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Coming from BNO News, that's about 22 minutes ago. By the way, guys, speaking of other news, the asteroid impact is actually a higher percentage now, going up to 2.4%. Will hit the Earth in 2032, up from 2.2% yesterday. So you might want to start thinking about that going forward. Again, all the tsunami alerts have been canceled except for the Cuba, Honduras, Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. Again, even with the areas that are under the threat, it does not look like that they're going to be affected by much in the way of wave height. Most of this is going to be at 1 foot or less. on BBC's reporting it now as well. Major Caribbean earthquake triggers tsunami alerts. Says, luckily, the remote location of these earthquakes limits the potential for significant damage due to shaking. So that's what we're seeing at the moment in here. Hey, there's Hilly. Good to see you over on YouTube tonight. Glad everybody's joining us tonight on a late Saturday evening broadcast. If you all are just joining us tonight, we've had the earthquake. I actually had the earthquake tracker up on YouTube, and I heard it ding pretty loud, and I could see it light up down in the Caribbean. I was looking at another feed, and I knew we had a problem. And then I started looking at the Twitter feed, X feed, and it started lighting up with the information. So if you're joining us today, that's what's happened. It was originally registered at an 8.0 or other reports, then revised down to a 7.6. I got it up here on the screen. Let me see if I can manually adjust this out. Hang on one second. So here it is in the red down here. Now this thing's going to want to circle back, so I'm not going to be able to keep it up for very long before it'll go back. That's the 7.6 that you can see here. And I have the same feed up on a separate feed over on YouTube, so it's always streaming all the time now. So you can have that, but that's where it was. And then it's going to go back, and and this is cool because it's just always tracking earthquakes all across the world, which is really nice. But other than that, I don't have any other reports of damage coming in, which is good to know. The earthquake itself doesn't look like going to produce any significant tsunami warnings. Certainly registered well on the seismic graphs. Jerusalem Post is reporting the same thing. They're saying 7.5 earthquake. 7 north of Honduras in the Caribbean Sea on Saturday, multiple international research centers said. USGS says the quake had a magnitude 7.6, says it's unclear if there's any movement or damage on land. Again, they're saying marks the biggest quake since 2021, when a 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck Haiti. So I got off the Jerusalem Post. All right. Hey everybody, good to see you all. Let me change this out. They're good to see Rosemary in here tonight on Rumble. So I'm just scanning scanning for information, anything new. Like I said, it's out in the middle of the ocean, so this is not going to be something that's going to be affecting any land at the moment. So the only real threat is going to be the tsunami waves, and even that doesn't seem to be that concerning at the moment. According to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, from what I've been able to see, out of Honolulu and other areas, I don't see anything other than maybe a 1-foot wave out of this, which is good news. And other than that, guys, there's the other areas in the world that we've been focusing on lately has been around the Greece area, that island down there in Santorini, whatever it is, down in Greece. That's been pretty active. That could go at any time. That would be a much bigger event because of the land area involved. So we'll keep an eye on that. So no matter what, follow us on our earthquake tracker. I've got it. It's up and running, and I'll run it as long as I can. We're digging now. Hang on 1 second. Let's see what we got. Here's something else that just popped up. What do we got here? Let me look at the National Weather Service out of San Juan here. Tsunami advisory is issued when a tsunami with the potential to generate strong currents are expected, or waves dangerous to those in or near the wave water is imminent, expected, or occurring. Appropriate actions to be taken by local officials may include closing beaches, evacuating harbors and marinas, and the repositioning of ships. Sea level fluctuations that are generally less than 3 feet in the next few hours. They're saying up to maybe 3 feet. This is coming from the NWS San Juan. Let me show you this real quick. On this. So maybe up to 3 feet. Other reports, and I think the official reports were saying less, a foot or less. NWS San Juan said maybe up to 3 feet or less. Ellie says, yawning, going back to bed. Yeah. Hey, Tater. Hey, Brian. Good to see you in here tonight. Glad you're with us tonight, guys. Thanks for joining, everybody. Getting you. Earthquake originally was reported. Robin says over on YouTube, how big was it? It was originally potentially an 8.0, but it's been since revised down to a 7.6. And that's kind of where we stand right now. It was out in the middle of the Caribbean. We've had no reports of damage so far. There are some tsunami warnings down in that area. Nothing to be concerned about here in the United States. As a matter of fact, there are no warnings of any kind for the Gulf Coast or the Atlantic. So I want to make you aware of that. And then if I put us up on our, here's something here. Here's a 2.2. We're getting some down in southern Texas today as well, south of San Antonio. There's been a lot of earthquakes down south around the San Antonio area and down out in West Texas, across Oklahoma. You can see parts of through even looks like eastern Kentucky and western West Virginia. So all that, it's really dinging again. But that's around the southern Texas. 2.9 now. Here's another one coming in from El Salvador. 2.9. But to recap, in terms of the earthquake, let me pull this back up. We had a 7.6. This is at the Caribbean, down in here, southwest of Cuba. And then in terms of the another way of looking at it here, again, there's just some of the tsunami advisories that are in effect across the region. But so far, again, no reports of any damage. This is going to be generally, most of the reporting I'm getting is less than a foot. NWS San Juan said maybe less than 3 feet. We'll keep an eye on that. And then let's go back to our map in here. Again, getting a lot of earthquakes down in southern Texas, interestingly enough, lately. 2.4s, not real big, but there's been a few. Let me zoom in real quick while we're at it. Let's just see what they're doing, focusing in on. Yeah, there's been a whole ton of them down here. There's been a 3, 2.0. This is southeast of, well, certainly south of, I don't have the city labels on here. North of Corpus Christi, southeast of San Antonio. And then a lot of earthquake activity across West Texas, which is somewhat typical. There's a fair amount over here. Again, these are all, you know, 1s and 2s. There's a 6.5 a while back, looks like. If that's correct, I don't know if that's correct or not. A lot of activity through Oklahoma, and I'm just going through the rest of the country. You can see with earthquake activity, you can see these little hot spots, and again across portions of eastern Kentucky and western Virginia, West Virginia. Been some activity through here, and then across the rest of the world. Beyond that, as you know, there's been the activity across Greece, and all this activity right in this island chain in through here. So a lot going on in the world beyond that. But our main focus tonight is the report of this big earthquake that occurred down north of Honduras, southwest of Cuba, 7.6. That's the big one. We haven't had something like this in quite some time. That's why we're coming on with this live update to let you know what's going on here. Good to see Hilly coming in here tonight. The one where we use the earthquake tracker is called Global Quake 1.0. Just do a search on that. You should be able to find that on the internet. Global Quake. What else? So we're looking at the different reports coming in tonight. I have had no reports of any damage, nothing, not even a video. I mean, just nothing at all coming in that I could tell at the moment. Let me look at the BNO News. It was a big earthquake, but thankfully it was really out in the middle of nowhere. It was the world's strongest quake since 2023, they're saying. Tsunami alert again for the parts of the Caribbean. Tsunami alert advisory for Puerto Rico. No confirmed tsunamis, only light shaking felt on land. I've had only maybe one video that I've been able to see so far of, and that was in one of the Mexico seismic centers. And that's pretty much it, guys. Not a whole lot else. Hang on 1 second here. The last advisory that I can see for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands was at 6:35:33 seconds on tsunami.gov website here. Here's a New York Post article. And again, because of all this copyright restrictions and all that, I can't show this guy. So at least over on YouTube, so I don't want to do that. But I can at least let you know what's going on. Summarize it: 7.6 earthquake again reported in the middle of the Caribbean Sea this Saturday night. Earthquake was reported just before 6:30 p.m. I could hear it dinging on my earthquake tracker. 125 miles south-southwest of Georgetown in the Cayman Islands. Depth at about 6 miles, according to the USGS. Again, the event sparked a tsunami warning, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Jamaica, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, Panama, Nicaragua, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Costa Rica, the Bahamas, Belize, and Haiti all, at least earlier, were under a potential threat. Again, no reports of injuries or damage. That's coming from the New York Post. So we're keeping an eye on things, guys, tonight for just a little bit. On the reports, according to data from Earthquake Track, there's been over 2,800 earthquakes in the Caribbean since 2020 alone. So there is always a lot of activity going down in that part of the world. Again, no reports of any other damage coming in. Let's look at our earthquake tracker again real quick. Pretty quiet. While we're at it, let's just go back in here. This is on the earthquake tracker itself. On the map down here in the red, there's also been several aftershocks across the region as well. There was a 4.2, I believe, earlier at 8:16 or 6:16, and then the big one was after that, I believe. All right. What are we digging now? Hang on. Activity across Alaska into the Pacific Northwest across the British Columbia, very typical up there as well. So while we're monitoring the big earthquake down in the Caribbean, the map is still scanning. If there's an earthquake, it's going to ding and let you know what's going on. Glad you're joining us tonight over on YouTube, guys. Thanks for watching our update. We're just monitoring the information coming in. Again, just a recap tonight. Is actually information somewhat quiet at the moment. We're not getting just a whole lot of information. Part of it is because of the location where it's at. But recap, again, we've had a 7.6 earthquake struck down in the Caribbean, southwest of Cuba tonight. We've had no reports of any damage so far. The big threat is going to be, if there is any, is going to be potential for some higher waves, maybe up to 3 feet, although that's from the NWS San Juan. Most of the reporting I've seen from the Pacific Warning Center was about 1 foot or less. And if there is any wave activity, it should be affecting those regions over the next hour or two, from what I can tell. And then in terms of here's the map, as you can see, here's the tsunami advisory for at least our U.S. areas across Puerto Rico right now. That's what's going on. So we're just kind of watching and monitoring for just a little bit with this evening feed. Again, if you're just joining us tonight on all of our platforms, you can watch our Earthquake Tracker live feed all the time now over on YouTube and now over on Twitch. So I got, plus, that's not even including our weather feed that's always up. So just if you're new, interested in watching weather or earthquakes, I got 24-hour feeds that are up, unless I have to take a computer down for a reset, which I had to do earlier. Let's go back to the quake tracker in here right now. Let me look and see what else we got. Jacob, probably not another news. Well, because I need to be very specific with our news coverage. I can't mix it in with the YouTube broadcast, at least. So I don't know about that. I'll have it back up on screen. So this is kind of our news coverage. Otherwise, it's actually been somewhat quiet today. What else we got? 105 of you all over here. Here's another one in here. Let's see what we got. Here we go. About the same. Let me show you this real quick. About 0.3 to 1 meters Cayman Islands, potential 1 to 3 meters in the Cuba, and that's about it. So again, here we go. Let's see what we got here. Can't click on it. I think these are the same reports here. Let me look in here real quick. Here's another tsunami advisory is now canceled. Tsunami advisory is now canceled for Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the British Virgin Islands. Says no all indications that a destructive tsunami is not generated by the earthquake. But you need to still follow specific instructions for the islands down there, because they may have different instructions. Be observant and exercise normal caution if you are near or in the ocean. Otherwise, no further action is required. So again, that's the latest one that I'm seeing, 9:09 p.m. Oh, that's Atlantic Standard Time. So that would be 8:09 Eastern Time, 7:09 Central Time. So that's what we got. The advisory is now canceled for Puerto Rico, the Virgin U.S. Islands, and the British Virgin Islands. That's coming directly from tsunami.gov. Let me look a couple of other places in here real quick. See what else we got. I'm sure they'll be popping up here in just a second. Final updates. Tsunami advisory is canceled. That's being reported now on our X feeds coming in. And that's about it, but I'm going to stay with this just a little bit longer, double check a couple things here real quick. We're just looking for just a little bit longer on this news story here. As this comes in, because folks will need to report it from the site. If you ever want to go over, it's from the Tsunami Warning Center or tsunami.gov. Show it again real quick for y'all. You can go over here and check out the site. This was has a color coded north again, but the latest information again showing from their official sourcing is that that's been canceled. And let me back that back out here. There we go. Okay. All the reports I'm getting right now from news media showing the earthquake has been, the tsunami warning advisory at least has been canceled for Puerto Rico. And again, no reports of any damage. Oh, here is one video from Honduras a little while ago. some water sloshing around. I don't want to show you for copyright issues. So there was a little bit of sloshing in the water over, looks like a pool or something down here in Honduras. So a little bit of a movement down in Honduras from this earthquake. This was earlier when it was still light that I can see looking at our feeds right now. And that's about it. Again, this is just so far out there that it's not going to be affecting much in the way of land or anything else. So pretty much all that we've got to report at the moment. So guys, over on YouTube, I'm going to wrap this up on YouTube tonight because this is the bottom line. We've had an earthquake earlier 7.6. No reports of damage. Tsunami warnings have been canceled. So it looks like we're, for the most part at the moment, in the clear down there. And of course, we'll keep you updated. I want to remind everybody that's joining in tonight, I've got our live feed up for the earthquake tracker up. So that's up and running all the time, okay? So you can check it out on YouTube. So just go in there. It's also over on Twitch, over on the, well, I'll have to put the link in so for that. But you can find it over on YouTube right now. So even when we go off broadcast, the same map that you're seeing here right now will be available to you on the separate stream. I believe it should show up here in a little bit, okay? Good to see everybody coming in tonight. Jan and everybody else tonight for watching us tonight. Thanks. Many of you haven't seen in a long time. So spread the word for our channel. It's good to see Gigi in here. Jacqueline's in here. Good to see you all tonight. Jacqueline Alvarez, good to see you. I'm glad you're with us tonight, okay? Going to wrap it up now on YouTube. I'll see everybody over on Rumble and Twitch in just a second. Thanks for watching. Talk to you in a few.